if you were kind of, I guess, giving some score numbers, I'll think of kind of recurve, obviously. I guess we can start with recurve. But if I think of like beginner to 600 and then 600 to 640, 640 to 680, what would you say are the time frames? Like, if you were being very optimistic, what would be a time frame for
So
each of those?
we are, just to be clear, we're talking about someone who's never done archery, full stop, no form of archery, yeah?
Yeah.
Then how long would I expect them to shoot 600 with a compound? I would say, so if I got an athlete to 650 within a year who had never shot, I would think she was shooting 600 within. The problem is, I think it was the first time we went to 50 meters. We spent the indoor season, so that would have been like, let's say, 5 months, 4 months, 5 months, we got to 600. But maybe she would have got it earlier, but I think we'd been shooting 18 meters, and I was like, look, we need to, and then the first time we shot, I think we may have got 600, I think. But we'll call it definitely within 6 months. If you're shooting the release day correctly and you've got the correct equipment, and that's the one thing I will add. Both of these athletes who made the rapid progress, both of them had, particularly the one in the UAE, she had whatever equipment I thought she needed. So in the first 2 weeks, we used 3 different bows.
Oh, to get the right one.
So we started with a super flexible, super adjustable beginner's bow, so we can literally find her draw length and build up some sort of ability to draw poundage, because if you're used to pulling a 30-pound recurve, that's totally different to a compound. She built up strength very, very quick. A lot of it is just sort of muscle memory. So we needed that super cheap, not cheap, $500 maybe, $400 or $300 for a sort of flexible bow, so we can find the draw length, build some sort of form, get some sort of idea what her weight is. Then we moved on to a intermediate Hoyt bow, a little bit small, a little bit of a hunting bow maybe, but it was a little bit more aggressive on the draw. We could get more precise on things. But then on I want to say week number 3, we had a full-blown Hoyt target bow shooting 48 pounds. Now, I've been with athletes where I've spent a year doing that, and I thought we moved really fast. Because it's hard to go back to a parent after 6 months and say, can we buy another bow? And then 6 months later say, can we go buy another bow? But it taught me, with those athletes, I should have been going back weeks later. Because every time we went up in equipment, we went up in score as well. So if I'd have been in a place where I was having to ask Dad, please, can we have a bow for a birthday? I know that development would have taken 3 years instead of 1. And getting that first 600 would have taken longer. But always having the correct equipment, the best equipment for that draw length, that poundage, taught me a lesson.
That would have been a hard sell to a parent.
I think I've been holding athletes back by saying, oh, you've only been shooting 6 months. You don't need a Concept X compound. No, the truth is, if you can afford it, you will shoot better if I get you a Concept X Hoyt compound. There's no need to spend another 6 months shooting that ruckus beginner bow or what, it taught me a lesson that I am holding some of my athletes back by not spending their money faster.
Yeah. So how much time do you think a recurve would take from beginner to 600?
Oh.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
It is because I shot compound for 10 years. So actually, the first time you shoot it, you get 600. But how long if I had a brand new student? I'm trying to think of my different... Because so often I meet students who are already started their journey. Actually, until I went to Saudi, I don't think I'd ever had a beginner in my whole career. And it was a new skill, and I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun to see how much progress people can make. But for a recurve, am I crazy if I say 2 years?
I was thinking around 3, so we're not that far apart.
But I want to stress, I am thinking about, I'm seeing you 5 days a week. You're training 6 days a week. You're not full time, but you're definitely leaving work and doing nothing else other than archery. And your weekends, you're at the training field. So let's say 2 to 3 years then.
That's kind of what I was thinking. So,
is your shooting progressing as you like, or would you like some expert coaching from a friendly face? If so, the details are in the description.
Going on from that, if we go, 6 months for compound maybe, 2 to 3 years for recurve, then 640, what would you say for compound?
And I quickly want to say, because yes, we're talking about the same score level there, one being shot at 50 meters, one being shot at 70 with this obviously the smaller target face of 50. Even though they're the same score level, we're not saying they're the same level, because obviously 600 on a recurve gets you a lot higher than 600 on a compound. So yes, the compound's been much faster, but they're still at a lower level. When they are shooting 600, that's still a low level, just to be clear.
That's a good point.
So now you want us to get on to what, 640, you say?
Yeah, what do you think, 640?
So I know for a fact with the compound, I think with both the young ladies in question, they would have done that in the 6 to 9 month bracket.
That's fast,
Maybe my Saudi athlete done it in 5, maybe. I'm sure she'll send me a message when she watches this.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's say 6 to 9 months. If you're committed, if you have the right equipment.
And for
Because again, as
recurve?
soon as you start shooting 50 meters, the difference between shooting 50 meters with a beginner's bow with beginner's arrows and shooting it with a world-class bow and some world-class arrows, the difference is, I think when you change the bows, it's like, there you go, 15, 20 points.
Big improvement.
Yeah.
And what do you think for recurve?
600 to 640. Because 640 that is a level of competence, you know. I remember when I first switched to recurve, that was my challenge. I needed to shoot 3 scores over 645 maybe, or maybe even just 640 to get to the British team selection shoot. And that took me, even though I was a world number 2 compound, that took me a whole season of a year of perseverance. So for another beginner, I want to say it's another 1 to 2 years. Probably, I want to say 1. If you're on the right track and you're getting coaching, I want to say that's another year, but it could easily be 2, I think.
Interesting, because I was thinking maybe 3 to 4 on that one. Because I was thinking,
okay,
yeah, but I don't know why that is. I'm just thinking of kind of like you said, the extra maybe poundage you need, the extra skill and that kind of thing. I think it's tricky because like we talked on earlier, if you started correctly, then that would be a lot faster. That would,
because you must be able to do it in that time frame, or we wouldn't have 16-year-old kids winning Olympic medals.
Exactly.
Because they didn't start when they're 5.
Yeah. But
there's a huge difference to being at just some club in the country or being at a national training centre, and that is the difference between 1 year and 3 or 4.
Yeah. And then now, how long do you think, if you're recurve going from 640 to 680, what do you think that would be?
So sometimes never.
Fair.
That's the honest truth, isn't it? I think there's some people, well, me included, dedicated my life to it for 10 years, just as recurve, with another 10 years of international. I never got to 680, so...
Yeah, same. But, in competition, you shot 680 in practice, right? But...
No, I don't think so. I always shoot my personal best in competition.
Oh, okay.
Which
that's
is
good.
Because, as my Korean coach told me, it's because you don't focus in practice, Michael. Okay, thank you. I thought it's because I'm extra dedicated and focused in competition.
In competition, yeah.
But he was probably right. So I think that gap is another 3 years, I think.
It's a big one, isn't it?
But I can tell you, because while we've had this conversation, it's reminded me with a conversation with, I think it was a conversation, again, I'm going to say Lloyd Brown, and he was talking to 2 other world-class coaches, and I can't remember who they are. And they were talking about time frame as well. And their rule of thumb that they used to tell their funding people is it takes 5 years to make an international archer and 7 years to make an international medalist. I want to say he was talking to the guy from Turkey, actually. Okay. I wish I knew his name. I used to shoot against him when we were athletes younger, but the Turkish coach.
You mean?
Yes.
Yeah, Göktürk.
That's the guy. I think Lloyd was talking to him. And that's what they... If everything is... If an athlete is getting world-class input on a regular, as in that we mean almost daily basis, 5 years to make an international archer, 7 years to make an international champion. And they're talking about coming from European countries. So if you're in a country that does compete for medals, that's the time frame we're talking about. And I think in a world-class system where you're a residential athlete, I think that probably is about right. I think if you spoke to most young athletes coming through, if you counted it back, if we looked at when Brady got his first medal and then you counted it back. But again, he spent a number of years shooting compound. So maybe his
true.
journey was even longer. If he'd have had recurve from day one, maybe his journey would have been even faster. Because some people can spend 5 years shooting, but they're just playing, and then they have one summer that sort of changes their focus.
And they actually deliberately
and
train
then,
a bit
so
more.
really the clock shouldn't start until, when did you start taking it seriously is the question, isn't it? Because I know I was a regular club archer, but I didn't start taking it seriously until 1994. I made the junior team the first time they ever recognised compound. So it was like not on my radar, and then a month later I'm on the British team. But everything happened from that line in the sand. My journey started then. Everything before then was really just playing around at local clubs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, there's a bit of a range, isn't there? There's definitely
So
a range.
how long did it take you from starting the sport to being on an international trip as a member of the British team?
So my first trip was
So you were a junior as well.
2009.
Let's say you done this as a junior, didn't you? So you were coming into the junior cadet team?
Junior cadet. My first trip was a Europa Cup, and it was
Same for me.
2009, and I started shooting in 2004, so 5 years.
Okay. Me, I haven't done
said
this
5 years.
calculation before. I know I started on the 3rd of October 1990,
Okay.
and my first international Europa Cup, a couple of years before you, was in 1994.
Okay. 4. So 4 years.
Yeah, and I hadn't
Yeah.
counted them until then, so
So it
I
seems
should have
accurate.
done that at the beginning, shouldn't I? Instead of speculating about other people, I should have thought, well, how long did it take for me? So that is it. And then I was on the senior team 2 years later. So it was 6 years onto the senior team. And for you, when did you start going on senior squads, senior teams?
I think.
But obviously you started young, so your development is going to be a bit slower. And I don't mean technical, I just mean strength, you know.
I think senior would have been 2013 would have been my first senior year, I think. World Cups and World Champs, I think. Yeah.
So that's, how many years is that?
Yeah, I guess 4 years from the first one.
Okay, all right.
But I need a refund from Gokta because there were no medals in those. So I need I need some. Give me some of Mete's medals.
I don't think he was expressing that as a guarantee.
No money back guarantee. But yeah, quite. That's funny that it was 5 years.
But it's different. Yeah, it shows though, depending on where you are in the world. Are you in a country where you can think you can make massive development? Do you look at your national champs and think, wow, there's hardly any compound women. There's hardly any recurve men. Is there an opportunity that's going to make, because, you know, success is interesting, because success is a motivator. Is there an opportunity there for you to take advantage of? That's always something to think about.
We should get Steve. I wonder what Steve's timeline is. Steve Weiler. Because his must be incredible.
Or did he just start a lot younger than we thought?
Yeah, maybe we just didn't see the beginning.
Yeah, he definitely. I've never known someone to burst onto the scene so quickly, but it's possible he did start when he was 8, and actually it did take him 8 years. I don't.
It's true. Yeah.
We'll report back.
Ask.
I will put. Ash will find out the answer, and I will put it in the comments section on here. Okay, so go look at the comments, and in a day or so, I'll have the answer there for you. If you stayed till the end because you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. It really helps me.